because of free hatred. The basic question of sinat chinam that everybody asks, how come you hate somebody for no reason? If you hate somebody for no reason, something is wrong with you. Any hatred has a reason for it, and we all have a good reason why we hate other people. So how come sinat chinam, it's called sinat chinam for no reason? But we all know Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because of sinat chinam. The Gemara says that Beit HaMikdash destroyed because shelo birchu b'Torah tchila, because they didn't say birchot HaTorah before they were learning Torah. So Tosfot asked, you said the reason Beit HaMikdash destroyed because they didn't say birchot HaTorah, but we know the Gemara says here in Masechet Gittin, because of sinat chinam Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. So how can you tell me the reason is because shelo birchu b'Torah tchila, they didn't say brachot on the Torah? So Tosfot says ha veha garam, meaning both of the reason for the destruction of the temple, it's because of number one, sinat chinam, and because of not saying bracha of learning Torah. And we ask an obvious question. When the Gemara says ha veha garam, both of them caused that. So when the Gemara says ha veha garam, that means that sinat chinam and not saying brachot for the Torah seems to be a major cause for the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, which it doesn't make sense. I can understand why an additional reason for the destruction of the temple, not saying the brachot of the Torah. But to say that both of them are equal, ha ve'agara, meaning both of them are the same almost. So the same weight we have for sinat chinam, the same thing we have of not saying brachot on the Torah. That's very hard to understand. How can we compare both? So in order to understand, we need to open up the famous story of Kמצא ubar Kמצא. The story of Kמצא ubar Kמצא shows the meaning of sinat chinam. Our Rabbi was giving already unbelievable shiur on it, one aspect of sinat chinam. On the previous year, we gave different shiurim on it of what's meaning sinat chinam through the story. And this year, maybe we have another understanding what sinat chinam means. So the story, we have to pay this or hard? Okay. So the story, famous story, Kמצא ubar Kמצא. The way the Gemara brings the story of Kמצא ubar Kמצא is the following, and needs a lot of explanation. A Kמצא ubar Kמצא, for two people, Chareb Beit HaMikdash. Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because of those two, Kמצא and bar Kמצא. So the main players in the story are Kמצא and bar Kמצא. And the Gemara says the Ahu Gavra, with that guy, there is no name. So there is a host. Host has no name in the Gemara. And the Rachme Kמצא, his beloved friend, his close friend is Kמצא. Ubal Devavei, the person he fight with, was talking against the Bal Devavei Ledaber, bar Kמצא. So it seems to be Kמצא and bar Kמצא. Everybody read it as a father and a son, right? Kמצא is the father, bar Kמצא is the son. To me, it's hard to read such a story, as usually when a guy fights with the son, it's very rare cases when the guy loves the father and fights with the son, not distinguish between the son and the father. So, Avad Seudata, he made a meal. Amar the host told his servant, Zil, go, Aitili Kמצא, go bring Kמצא. So what did he do? He said, go and invite Kמצא to the meal. What's the language in Aramaic to invite somebody? How does he invite somebody? Azmene. Tazmin. Bar Kמצא. Here he says, go, Aitili. What Aitili means? Bring. I mean, you're bringing or you're inviting. Very, very modern way to make an invitation. Go הייתי, go bring me קמצא. The Gemara continue, Azal, הייתי לבר קמצא. He gave him instead of קמצא, בר קמצא. Ata, he came, Ashkecheda beyativ. He saw bar קמצא sitting in the meal, enjoying the meal. Amar le, he told them, Michdi, let's see, let's analyze. Ha'u Gavra, that guy, Baal Devave, the one who talks, the one who fights, with Ima'u Gavra, he's talking to, on both of them, on a third person. Ha'u Gavra, Baal Devave fight with Ha'u Gavra. My baitach, what's he doing over here? Kum, book, get up and leave. He's telling him basically, we are fighting, correct? If we are fighting, what you doing over here? Leave, I don't want you over here. This line of the story doesn't make sense. A guy who knows that the host fight with him and is getting an invitation, at least don't come to the meal. You know he's fighting with you. If you come to the meal and the guy comes over to you, what's the host should have said to bar קמצא? Get up, leave the party. He's telling him the lashon of the Gemara, michde. Michde means, let's see. What do you have to see over here? We're fighting with each other. What are we supposed to see? And he's talking to him on a third person. This guy fighting with this guy. Telling him, you're fighting with me. Bar קמצא, you're my enemy. You're fighting with me. A very broad description on the fight that don't seem to be aligned with the story. You fight with somebody, excuse me, I'm fighting with you. Get up, get out of here. Then the Gemara continued, Amar le, he told them, O'il va'atai, since I came already, shavkan. Leave me alone, let me enjoy the meal. V'yahiven lach, dmei mai dachina v'shatina. So, yes, and do me a favor, I'm here already. I know, each meal is $200. No problem, I'm giving you $200. What's the problem? Is that a valid offer? If somebody you're fighting with is going to be at your meal, is the $200 cost of the meal will make a difference to you? He's telling him, you're my enemy. How can you offer him to pay him for the meal? The cost is not the issue over here. The issue over here, I don't want to see you over here. Get out of here. The Gemara continued, he said, you know what? Amar le yavin elach dmei palga de sudatach. I'm going to pay you half of the meal. Amar le told them, look. Again, what do you offer? To pay money? He moves on. Amar le yavin elach dmei kula seudatach. I'm going to pay you for all of your meal. The Gemara says, at this point, what he should have told him?
Yeah, okay.
No, not okay. No, because money is not relevant. The Gemara says, Amar le lo, nakta beyadei, he took him with his hand, okmei, he extended them, and ve'afke, and he threw him out of the party. Very aggressive approach. At the beginning, when he met with him, he says, what you doing over here? Let's see. Talking nicely, nachon. Get out. What did he do so wrong that he picked him up and he got him out of the party? It was very, very professional and it seems to me very polite conversation. Please, let me pay you for the meal and let me stay. He's getting so much angry at him and he's picking him and he threw him out of the party. What's that reaction suddenly? Because of the offer, I'm going to pay you for the meal, he's going to decide and throw him off the party. So the Gemara continued. Bar Kמצא said, all of the rabbis were there, they didn't say anything. I'm going to complain about him to the king. I'm going to be a snitch. I'm going to be a snitch. I'm going to talk bad about them to the king. So, what's the Rabbanan's fault in this story? Bar Kמצא, with all the respect, you're fighting with people, nachon? If you fight with somebody and he doesn't want you at the party, whose fault it is? Your fault. Who do usually people blame? The rabbis. This is rabbi's fault. What did the rabbi didn't do? You fought with him, not the rabbis. What do you want from the rabbis? And I'm going to complain about the king. I'm going to tell the king that they don't want to bring you korban. The whole story really doesn't make sense. So I was thinking the following, this Edry. There is keywords in the story that give us a highlight of the personality and approach what happened over here. The host was, today it's called Gvir, rich guy. The Torah, the Gemara defined the relationship between the host and Kמצא, Ahu Gavra derachmei Kמצא, meaning lerachem alav, u'ba'al devave, the one who talks against, ba'al devave, ledovev is ledaber, to talk. The one who talked against him is bar Kמצא. So why we refer to Kמצא derachmei? Elsewhere in the Gemara, we says ohave and sonei. Why it's called rachmei? The problem is the following: the host is a big donor. He gives daka, and he support people, and he help people, and whoever needs daka, I will give him. That's how he creates his friends. Many people that he support. But often when people support somebody else, when they help somebody else, they look at him as a misken, as a nebach. You know, this guy, I need to support him. Ahu gavra derachme Kמצא. He has rachamim on him, he has mercy on him, and he's supporting him. How did he invite Kמצא to the party? Go, bring him, aitili, tavi oto, bring him. He's supposed to invite Kמצא. What he's doing? Bring by Kמצא. He's demanding the arrival of Kמצא. This is my party, I need him over here. Maybe he doesn't want to come. Maybe tonight his parents came out of town and he cannot come to the party. I don't care. Zil, aitili, Kמצא. Go, bring him over. I am the one who support him. I need him over here. He has a son called Bar Kמצא. Who is Bar Kמצא? Bar Kמצא is the son of Kמצא. He's not happy with the story. He sees a guy who controlling his father. Because you give my father money, you think you can control my father? The Gemara doesn't say at this point that he was fighting with the host. The Gemara says the only thing, Baal devave, Baal dvarim, meaning the owner of words. He has claims against the host. You're taking advantage of my father. The fact that you're helping him doesn't mean you control him. There is now an official fight over here. And therefore, when Bar Kמצא get the invitation, he came to the event. Because why not? We are not fighting. We can disagree with each other. We can argue, but we are not fighting with each other. When the host came to the meal, and he sees Bar Kמצא and not Kמצא, says the host, Bar Kמצא, you think you are not my enemy. But you are. And I tell you why. And he referred to each other on a third person. Michde, let's analyze what's going on between us. Ahu Gavra, that guy which is you, we have an outside machloket, Baal devave Ahu Gavra. You are talking against me. So if you're talking against me, what are you talking against me? You're saying that I'm controlling people with money, right? That money gives me control, and this is incorrect. If money not supposed to give me control, my baitacha, what's he doing over here? I made an order for my servant to bring you over here. Why did you follow me? Because of the money. What are you coming for the event? You want to eat meal. You want to use my money. So you're talking against me, against my money, when you hear her coming to use my money. Get out of here. Don't use my money. This is, at this point, a problem. You're using my money. You cannot use my money. So get out. Don't use my money. Therefore, he said, I understand your problem. I'm not going to use your money. And he offered him, I'm going to pay for what I'm eating him. Let me pay for my plate. He says, no. You cannot pay for your plate because my money give me control who's going to come, who's not going to come. So he told him, if money is a control, let me control you with money also. I'm going to pay you half of the meal. He says no. He expects a certain amount to be worth it for the host to keep him, because there is no personal fight over here. It's a general argument. Can money give you control or not? And therefore he offered them, I'm going to pay you for all of the meal. In giving him a message, your money cannot give you control. I'm paying for everything. That means you have no right to invite anybody. If you have no right to invite anybody, you have no right to kick out anybody of the party. Because if I'm paying for the meal and the money gave you the power, if the money gave you the control, by me paying for it, you're not going to have control. At this point, he didn't take it. I'm willing to argue with you whether money can give me control, but you want to take away my control of the party? He took him out and he threw him out of the party. You cannot take my control. Let's pause for a second. We have a guy, big bad tzedakah. There were many rabbis over there, supporting people, but controlling people because of his power, because of his ability to support. He's controlling people. What Chachamim supposed to do in that moment? They can stop it. I was always bothered if two people fighting together. Did anybody ever try to break a fight in the middle of a fight? It's almost impossible. You're going to get hit by the end of the day. So why Chachamim being accused not breaking up the fight? It's impossible to break a fight. They're fighting together. But the answer is they're not fighting. They are arguing on principle or knife, whether money can give you control or it cannot give you control. Therefore, says Bar Kמצא, the rabbis are at fault. Because if you allowed him and you agreed with him for what he said, they should get up and say, dear host, money cannot give you control. Why they didn't say that? Because they were getting also wire transfers from him. The rabbis were getting controlled by the donors. The rabbis are controlled. He said, if the rabbis are silent, they are comfortable that the control give you the right to do money, give you to do the right, whatever you want. He said, if control can give you the right to do whatever you want, I'm going to gain control over you. What did he do? He went to the king, who controlled the whole country. And he told the king, let me bring korban on your behalf. When he brings the korban, who is the control? Who has the control over Am Yisrael? That guy. He gained. You think you're controlling Am Yisrael with your money. I'm going to show all of you that I'm getting control of you without a dime. In his hand, he held Am Yisrael, making a decision whether Am Yisrael are going to make it or they are not going to make it. The Gemara said when he brought it to Beit HaMikdash, they want to bring it the korban, even though he put a blemish in the korban. Says Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas, no. People are going to say that when you put blemishes in the korban, in the sacrifice offering, you're supposed to die. So they wanted to kill him. Says Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas, no, you can't kill him. Because, you can't kill him because people are going to say if you make a blemish, you're going to die. They said, let's bring it as a korban. So they can't bring it as a korban. Lama? Because
everyone's going to think
everyone will think it's okay. So the Gemara concludes, because of the anava, because Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas was humble, because of it, the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. What was the argument over here? When the guy came and he said, let me control Am Yisrael. What Rabbi Zechariah says? You're going to control Am Yisrael. You think you can control Am Yisrael to bring a korban? No matter it has a blemish, you're not in control. The control in Am Yisrael is up to us. Who was able to stand up against control? What's the word of the description of the Gemara? Who was Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkolus? Advanetuto, being a humble. Why? When a person is humble, he doesn't need recognition from anybody. He doesn't need anything from anybody. He's exactly the opposite of the rabbis at the party. He's not dependent on anybody. When people have arrogance, they have ta'ava, they have desire, they want more stuff. Someone is humble, he doesn't need anything. There was a famous story that the Rosh Yeshiva of Mir, Rabbi Tzvi Finkel, the owner of Starbucks, came to visit him. And he was amazed from the visit. After the visit, when the visit was over, he took out a check, a blank check. The owner of Starbucks, he made a signature on the bottom. He says, Rabbi, please, put any amount you want. The rabbi took the check and he put $1,200. He said, what is that? He said, down the block, there is a guy who sells tefillin. Give him the check for me and buy yourself a pair of tefillin. That's called humble. I don't need you. He needs money. Yeshivat Mir, the biggest yeshiva in the world, costs a lot of money to run the yeshiva. But there is no feeling of need. An humble person doesn't create a dependency at the rich guy. What is the fault of Kמצא and Bar Kמצא? Who is the fault over here? Bar Kמצא and the host. Why Kמצא? They are the two that are causing all this destruction. This is an unbelievable message. People who let others to take advantage of them and to take abuse of them, they are at fault. We intend to blame the people who hurt us instead of taking responsibility that we let them hurt us. It is easier to be vulnerable and to be out there, to be exposed, to get hit. And to say, this guy is not an honest guy, this guy doesn't respect me. It's your fault. How come you let somebody act to you and behave to you like that? So what's the reason you did it? Because you were comfortable. He was taking care of you, he gave you money. So you turn him into that control freak. When you allow them to behave like that, it's your responsibility for making a Jew to behave like that. Therefore the Gemara says it's Kמצא ubar Kמצא. The Churban, the destruction, doesn't get by somebody else. We intend to blame people who do the bad stuff to be at fault. The Gemara is telling us the fault is not the people who do the bad, it's at us. Each one of us enable others to do bad. It's our responsibility. It's an unbelievable understanding that anything goes bad, it's our fault. I had a guy that he told me that his wife, Shalom Bayit Yeshuv, she mamash disrespect him, she treat him like garbage. They got divorced. And I told him, my friend, this is your third time of getting divorced. Don't you think that you are at fault? He said, Rabbi, I'm the nicest guy ever. I'm like, yes, but if it's the same thing happened to you 3 times, that means you made them into animals. You made your previous wives into bad people. When you let people behave and step at you and act to you like that, you are at fault. We have our responsibility to make sure that people don't behave like that. That's why it's called sinat chinam. If someone is acting to you in a bad way, you know who is at fault? You! If somebody is screaming at you in the middle of the shul, and you're getting embarrassed, how can you talk to me like that? That means you did something wrong. You didn't watch yourself, you didn't behave accordingly. It's easier to blame other people, they don't behave well. The Gemara said the Talmid Chacham is responsible, obligation to forgive everything. And there is a machloket, you forgive. Argument on money, you're supposed to forgive. Why? Because if you don't forgive, you create monsters. If you need to go to bed and people need to sue you because you don't forgive, you make the other person to act bad, to behave inappropriately. Sinat China means, if he hates me, if he did something wrong to me and I hate him, it's my fault what he did to me. It's not his fault. Because you can see it's unbelievable. You see two people in the same place, one getting in trouble, and the other one doesn't get in trouble. So who is that at fault? The person who hurt you? No, you are at fault. I'm sorry to bring this topic, but there is unfortunately, very unfortunately, issue of abuse in our generation. And everybody's saying, abuse. I heard from the Rosh Yeshiva once. It was a time that a lady found out, a lady that somebody very big official was harassing her and v'chulei. And everybody talk about the respect of ladies out there in the world, and people don't respect ladies anymore. And Rosh Yeshiva said, unbelievable sentence. He says, see how she dressed up. What do you want from him? It's your fault. You're causing the guy to start up with you because you behave a certain way. If somebody getting abused, it's at fault. You make yourself available to such a situation. We enable other people to do the bad stuff, and then we cry at them. We're blaming them to be at fault. It's our fault. There are so many hours being spent in psychologists from understanding that the guy hurt you, and the psychologist session would be your sonebach. Let's see what you can do with it. That can be resolved very easy. If you understand that nobody hurts you, you hurt yourself, it's up to you to get up. If you think that he can control you by hurting you, you're not going to be able to get up. Because whenever you feel that somebody else is controlling you, you cannot function. You cannot behave. I'm under his control. As soon as you realize that you're not in his control, you have no problem to move on in life. All of the difficulties people going through, the hours, the thousands of other psychologists, it's only because you feel there is a monster who hurt me and is stronger than me. But if you understand, I made him to be the monster, then you have no problem to go back and to correct yourself and to move on in life. We creating the monsters. We creating the difficulties. Was a lady, Anne Cohn, I think her name, that she made an announcement, it was about 30 years ago. She forgave Hitler. Forgiving Hitler? Why would you forgive Hitler? What Hitler did to her, it's unbelievable. I had a chavrusa when I came to Florida, Rabbi Nachum Kogu. He was a Holocaust survivor. And one day he came to learn with me. Big smile on his eye. Big smile. He was excited and happy. I'm like, Rabbi Nachum, what happened? He said, I just had a great granddaughter. He was happy. So he was sitting with me, and he said, and he started crying, that's my revenge on Hitler. I said it over to his kids after he passed away. They were shocked because they never knew their father in such a way. And I heard that from my wife's grandmother. She was waking up every night, as far as I know, with nightmares. I visited her when she was 90. She passed away almost 100 years old. She lived Hitler on every moment in her life. This lady, Anne Cohn, she decided, I forgive Hitler. Why, she said? He's not worthy enough to be part of my life. If I don't forgive Hitler, he's in control of me. Like other people said, that's my revenge. That's meaning you're giving them a space within yourself. You enable them to be Hitler for you. She realized she doesn't want to have such a life. I don't want anybody to control me. I forgive. I let go so I can move on. All of the difficulties we're facing, we don't forgive. We create a monster. We create controller in front of us, and we cry that he's the bad person. The man says, Kמצא is at fault. You created him. And understanding that what control of other people is doing to you, it's a life that unfortunately many of us live by. I just spoke about the recipient side. Let's talk about the controller. So when we're talking, we all relate to the side, okay, don't let him control you. But very often we control other people as well. We are in control. We can control our chavrusses. We can control our spouses. We can control our family member. We can control people around us. There is a feeling that when I do something that gives me control, That's what gives me motivation to do and to act in life. Because I'm gaining control, I'm getting something out of it. People can learn Torah. I was asking once a Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Zweig, how come you have people who are learning Torah? The Gemara says, Ma'or sheba machziro lamotav. The light of the Torah is supposed to return a person to be good, to be a better Jew. I was talking with my attorney yesterday, and we were talking about rabbis. And we're talking about a rabbi that we know. He told me this rabbi is a very nice guy. So I tell him, you know what? Because he learned a lot of Torah. So he told me, I'm sorry, but I know people who are learning a lot of Torah that are not nice like him. And I know people who are not learning Torah and they are nice like him. How do we answer that? Where is the Torah that's supposed to make the change? The way he presented it was sound like 50-50. In fact, he wasn't aware really. He doesn't know people who don't use attorneys. That probably they are big part of it. But when we're learning Torah, and the Torah needs to make us better people, it all depends what's the use of the Torah. When the Torah is there to give me control, and I'm not talking about on very aggressive way. Control means to feel good about myself, to show others that I know. The Torah is about me sometimes. To say bracha on the Torah is understanding that the Torah is giving us שבחר בנו בכל העמים. It's a gift from God, and I'm not supposed to get anything out of it. The Gemara says those who are not saying bracha for the Torah, because when saying bracha, the Gemara in Barachot says, why do we say bracha on what we eat? The Gemara says it's Zvara, excellent. It's a logic. Before you take something, you got to pay for it. When you're learning Torah, who is doing you a favor? Hashem. He lets you use His infinite Torah. When you say bracha, you acknowledge that Hashem is doing me a favor by learning Torah. If you don't say bracha on the Torah, that means, God, say thank you. I'm doing you a favor that I'm learning you Torah. Because Torah, it's a way for me to use it for my life. On such a case, Torah cannot change you. The only time Torah can change a person if he understands that the Torah, it's a privilege, a gift for you. If you think you're doing a favor to God by learning Torah, look yourself at the mirror. I'm a yeshiva guy. I'm coming to learn in the morning in Shorashim. I'm learning at night in Shorashim. Wow, I admire yourself. You should. But if you think you're doing a favor, the Torah cannot change you. The only way Torah can change a person is understanding that I have no privileges because I'm learning Torah. I don't deserve anything. I don't have right to anything. And that's the opposite case. We're talking about us as people who are approaching Torah and learning Torah. It doesn't give me any right. It's giving me one thing, learning Torah. Learning Torah is supposed to give me only obligation. Learning Torah is supposed to give me a responsibility. The Gemara says, מי שלומד תורה צריך שיאמרו, תראו פלוני שלמד תורה, כמה נעים מעשיו. Learning Torah, it's a responsibility to show how beautiful are your actions. I once, years ago, went with a business partner to see a property. And he told me, I worked out like the way I dressed up with my kippah and everything. He told me, here is a cup, put it on top. He said, why? He said, shouldn't be Chilul Hashem. I said, why Chilul Hashem? He said, this is going over here, they're going to see a religious Jew. I'm like, what they're going to see that will be Chilul Hashem? So he said, maybe we have to say something, to do something, and it's not appropriate to do it like that. Just put a hat. So I told him, my friend, if we cannot do it without the hat, we cannot do it with that. Putting a cover on your, pretend you're not a frum Jew, doesn't give you a pass. Okay, I can do whatever I want, but it's exactly the opposite. We have the opposite responsibility. We must stand out as frum Jews, especially us that we learn Torah and we act better. We need to show out to the world that anyone who learns Torah act accordingly. He respects people. He behaves properly. He does straight business. He doesn't do cash advance. He doesn't hurt people. No, I'm serious about it. Unfortunately, this cash advance became such a big thing. By the end of the day, you're hurting people. Whatever I'm going to say that anyone who was talking to me about cash advance says, no, this guy, he does it right. I've heard it before. Cash advance is an advance for the guy who gives the money, not the guy who receives the money. He's take advantage. No cash advance. Cash advantage on the guy who lend the money. Why so many from Jews doing cash advance? Because you make a lot of money, but you're hurting other Jews. You're hurting Goyim. We have a responsibility. Mesilas Yesharim says that we have a responsibility. Tikun achvat hamedinot. Metaken the governing all of the country. We have a responsibility to behave accordingly. We cannot hurt any Goy, no matter what. We cannot hurt a Goy. You know the guy eventually is not going to be able to pay it. He's going to get into trouble. So you think you're not part of it. How can we behave like that? Because we don't say bracha for the Torah. We don't take the Torah as an understanding that it's a responsibility. I'm learning Torah, but I got to convert it. I was once part of a Choshen Mishpat Kollel, and Rabbi Feinstein came to the Kollel to give us shiur. And he said the following story. He said, people came to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, and they asked Rabbi Moshe, how come in yeshivas, which maseches everybody learning? Bava Metzia, Eino Metzios. He said, why don't they learn the first masechta should be masechet brachot? That's the first masechta. And it's not a hard masechta. It's an excellent masechta to start with. He said there is a big problem because how masechet brachot starts? ומתי קוראים את שמע בערבית. Next Mishnah. ומתי קוראים את שמע בשחרית in the morning. When are you supposed to read שמע in שחרית? נצח חמה. You're supposed to read שמע in נצח חמה. So says Rabbi Moshe, a bochur learning first time Gemara, and he's telling him, okay, we're learning the Gemara now that you're supposed to wake up early and dabinate. By the way, today we don't do that. You know, because people are tired today, it's better for them, better to schedule out. Moshe says, you're starting his approach to Gemara by the understanding that what you're learning you're not supposed to do. The first thing you're learning when you say Kriyat Shema in the morning, you're not doing. So Moshe said, do not learn brachas before. So Rabbi Reuven Feinstein told us, he said, a guy from the high school, the Mechina, the Yeshiva Ktana over there, in, where is the Yeshiva? Staten Island. He said, two boys came over to me. This is a story he said about 40 years ago. He says, two boys came over to me to a din Torah. He said, one of the boys Reuven lent his Shimon a cassette, איך אומרים? The cassette, No, so the cassette, no,
the film?
No, the one with the
film.
Yeah, cassette.
was running around. איך קוראים לזה? Cassette. Anybody saw cassette over here? Okay. No. A cassette. So he lent it to him, and the tape player that he had was running slow, fast, I don't know, and got ripped. Remember it?
The film, yeah.
Okay, got ripped. So Reuven said to Shimon, pay me. It got ripped. Reuven says, no, I'm not supposed to pay you. It happened. What do you want from me? This is how we use. I use that. This is what it happened. So they went to a din Torah to Rabbi Reuven Feinstein. And he said on that year, and they were learning Masechet Bava Kama, like we just finished. And he said 3 months before, we're learning Perek HaShoyel. 8th Perek in Bava Kama teach the following halacha. A guy who borrowed an object from his friend, anything happened to the object, he is chayav. Lama? Shekol hana'ah shelo. All of the benefit he received full benefit, therefore a shoel, the borrower, is chayav on everything. So Rabbi Reuven said, I approached the boy and I said, let me ask you a question. We learned in Gemara that the borrower needs to pay for everything. He said, what do you think should be the din? I said, what do you mean? He said, I mean the Gemara that you learned, that the borrower is supposed to pay for everything. So what should be the din by you? So this is the face that Rabbi Reuven showed us. So he said, the boy told me, and he left. Now he knows he needs to pay. So Rabbi Reuven told us that he said this story to his father, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. And Rabbi Moshe Feinstein told them, he said, check out which Gemara this boy learned when he started learning Gemara. The first Gemara I learned was Masechet Brachot. Because you cannot take a Gemara and say, you know what, this one we don't do. This one we do. We have to approach for our Gemara for a book of life, for a book of responsibility, for a book in understanding that I must create a change. As we're walking out tonight, we need to take message number 1. Don't let others do bad. It's our responsibility to make sure nobody will do bad. If anybody hurt you, most likely you are at fault. Hitler hurt the Jews, they were at fault. They saw it and they closed their eyes. The behavior made them, they create Hitler. The Jews create Hitler, not Hitler created Hitler. We creating our enemies. The more we're going to behave, we're going to act, we're going to do properly, we're not going to have any enemies. We will create shalom only if we take the responsibility. יהי רצון שנזכה לגאולה, אמן.
אמן.
איך ענית לעורך דין?
לא הסתבכתי איתו. סטיב.